I'm back in the UK. What? This has been the craziest month. Literally the most emotionally draining time. I was like, do I go back to the UK? What's gonna happen? Constantly looking at news and updates and wishing friends off and watching as my friends' borders closed and people sobbing and seeing people off, and then me being like, okay, Jade, now we need to get a flight, get home. It's been a time. But I'm home. And very strangely, our house has been renovated, which is an absolute luxury to have. It is kind of weird because the house that I've always known and grown up in, it's like we're in the same location, but it feels very different. So I'm still trying to process everything, but I'm home, I'm safe, I'm very grateful for that. I hope that you are also home and safe and staying away from people at the moment. But in being home, it kind of forces you to question how to be motivated, how to stay productive, how to get on with your day in a sustainable manner that makes you feel good, as opposed to just lounging around in this weird space. So I've got some advice. I've been reading a book. One of my friends from university, she left behind a book and she gave it to me, and it's called Everything is Effed. A book about hope, ironically. And as I was on my flight sobbing because the rest of the semester is cancelled, you know, I started to give it a read. And it is so relevant to this situation that I can't help but use it as a base for the motivation of this video. In this book, Mark Manson says that in order to have hope, you need three things. You need strong values. You need something important enough to work towards. You need to have reasons to want to achieve, to succeed. Number two is a sense of control over your life. How can you implement these values if you feel helpless? And number three is a community with shared values. Without community, we feel isolated and our values kind of cease to mean anything at all. So the three things to have hope: your values, your self-control, and your community. Without these three things, we feel super unmotivated and lazy. So my friend, let me ask you, what is it you want to achieve? Like, why do you bother trying? Is there a job that you want to have one day? Is there a lifestyle that you want to achieve? Is there your family that you want to work hard for? Is there a subject that you love? Is it because you just want to prove something to yourself? Is it because doing stuff just makes you happy? I really invite you to dig a little deeper into those values, the core of like why you want to try. And in terms of self-control, I think this is where the book dives into it really nicely. I think we often believe that we either have self-control or we don't. I am a highly motivated person capable of a lot, or I'm not. And that's just the way that God or biology or whatever made me. This is so not true. Lazy, motivated, disciplined, happy, sad. All of it. You can be all of it. You can change if you feel you are one of them right now. And we have two thinking systems in the brain. If you guys have read Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow, it's a book we have to read for university. I highly recommend it. But he describes these thought systems as system 1 and system 2. But in this book, he discusses them as the thinking brain and the feeling brain. So you got your thinking brain. This is where you've got your real cognitive responses. This is where you are thinking your decisions out properly. You're weighing up your options, you're considering it, and then you're making a choice. Whereas your feeling brain is a lot more automatic. For example, if you're really angry, you might make really quick, irrational decisions. If you're really hungry, you might just go eat without thinking. If you're really happy, you might be a lot more motivated. Now, we like to think that all of our decisions come from the thinking brain. We like to think that we're properly mulling over everything and then kind of consulting this feeling brain as a secondary thing. This isn't true. Most of our decisions of how we carve our lives are actually made by our subconscious, which is crazy to think. Like how much you are led by a part of you that is just kind of automatic. Think about it. Why is it that you're not going to go and use this amazing self-isolation time to go and study and to make your dreams come true and to put effort in and to work when you know that's really what you want to do? It's because you don't feel like it. Every problem that we have with self-control is not an issue of not having enough information or not being disciplined enough or not having enough reason. It's actually a deeper rooted emotional reason. It's you potentially not investing enough in your subconscious feelings and emotional response. Things like meditation or looking after your mental health or just trying to be healthier or fitter. All the underlying things that do compound also affect your thinking brain. And we also have this notion that the thinking brain must dominate the feeling brain in order for you to succeed. Like we often think that emotional responses are bad, but think about this. You can't combat the feeling of laziness with more facts. If you really don't want to get out of bed because you're just not feeling it, You can't bombard that state of your mind with more facts like, oh my god, but Jade, I've got so much to do, like you've got a long to-do list, like come on, like why are you being lazy, this person's doing this, like da 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 da. That is fueling the negative emotional response. Thus, in this book, he argues that the thinking brain actually needs to consult the feeling brain, like you almost need to tap into whatever you are feeling, and instead of trying to rationalize it with fact, you kind of listen to it. You kind of acknowledge it, and then instead you propose a new feeling that's linked to the consequence. Instead of me stressing over how little I've done today, let's think about if I go now and pick myself up and I go bake something, let's learn a new skill, and then I really imagine and focus on how amazing I'm gonna feel when I bake that thing. It's gonna taste amazing, I'll be learning something new, I'll feel productive, it'll just be fun, you know? And you have to kind of close your eyes for a second, don't be distracted by the social media or whatever, just close your eyes. Imagine how it would feel to do it, like convince yourself positively that that's something you want to do, and then go do it. And if that still doesn't convince how you're feeling, that's really okay, maybe it is a deeper rooted mental health thing. I strongly recommend that in these instances you try and switch off your devices, you do something more mindful, whatever that is. Maybe you are tired, maybe that is just sleep, maybe that is doing a meditation. I really like the Honest Guys on YouTube. Exercise is so crucial in this quarantine period, it just changes your whole mindset. But when you recognize this relationship between how you feel and what you think and what you want to do, I think that is where self-control comes in. And then the third aspect to having hope is community, which arguably is more difficult in this time. But I disagree. We've never been so connected as a world. You have this online community. I mean, if you're drawn to this video, then collectively we have that mutual interest. Get down in the comments, connect to people, motivate each other. You have the new StudyTube project Instagram and YouTube page. Don't know if you've seen it yet, but the whole idea is that people come together who want to learn something or motivate each other to do better. You have friends that you can FaceTime, and like it's a really nice reward if you go and you do something that you need to get done, and then you reward yourself by like chatting and chill. And lastly, within community, a lot of its purpose is to try and validate the work that you're doing, or to make you feel like your values are appreciated by other people. So technically, I think you can validate your own feelings and your own work through something like journaling. Like tonight, just sit down with some pen and paper or like a notebook in your bed and just like think to yourself, why is it that you're trying? What matters to you? Just remind yourself that you are doing a really good job. Like the world is falling apart. Like, not gonna lie, it's kind of terrifying. And in such a time of uncertainty, the fact that you're alive and coping, congrats to you. So yeah, I really hope that you can implement these 3 ideas to just make you feel like you have more control, more motivation, and how you can input more productivity into your life if that's something you want to do. Equally, something I just want to quickly say is I think there is pressure in this time where there's nothing to do to fill it with like the grandest projects, you know, like, oh my god, start that podcast you've always wanted to do, write that book, become a fitness guru, become a TikToker, whatever. It's also very okay to use this time as like a reset for your mental health or for self-growth in a very introspective manner. You could use it as a real digital detox in terms of social media. My mum is treating it as like a yoga retreat, I swear. She's just doing yoga all the time downstairs, and I'm like, go for it, mum. I hope you're well. I am very happy in a way to have time and space and energy to invest into you guys and this social media thing. It wasn't a priority at university, and now I guess it can be. So tell me what you'd like to see. I'm sending love and good vibes your way, and have a productive or a chilled or whatever positive week. Bye.